Hey everyone, welcome back to the Zero Hour Podcast. If the lights went out tomorrow, no phones, internet, or cell towers, how would you talk to your family, your team, or your community? That's what tonight's stream is all about. We're diving into the HAM and GMRS radios, what you really need to know, what radios I recommend, how to get your setup ready before things go sideways. Now, down in the chat below, let me know who here already has an emergency communications plan and setup radio and what radio you use. So let's go ahead and dive into this. I have some notes written down here to help me move along, makes things a little bit easier for me. All right, segment one, we're going to be talking about why comms matter in SHTF. And as many of you guys know, society relies really heavily on our cell phones. That's what I'm making this live stream on. That's what we check the weather with, the news. Most of everything that we rely on today is through our phones. I know that my grandparents, they use the TV to gather news information, and me, I mainly use my phone. But we can order food off our phone, uh, groceries off our phone. We, as a society, are so dependent on our phones that it's mind-boggling. So I just want to throw that out there that modern phones and the society that we rely so much on our phones, even for communications, is taken for granted. We had a real bad windstorm. It was a derecho in the Appalachian region in 2013, I believe it was. But that knocked out power for two weeks in my area, and the backup generators for the actual cell towers only lasted 3 days. So we could only communicate for 3 days, and then all of our communication went out throughout our whole community. We couldn't talk to friends, family. We couldn't search the internet to figure out what was going on. We were relying on the radio in our car, the normal FM radio in our car, and that was all fine and dandy until the gas pumps started going out because there was no more gas, then no more electricity for the pumps and the fuel, so we couldn't listen to the radio in the cars anymore because we couldn't get the fuel for the vehicles, so we couldn't gather any information at that point. Another thing is comms is going to give you three things. It's going to give you intel, coordination, and safety. And what do I mean by that? So we'll start off with intel. So, like I mentioned before, with the whole car radio scenario and everything that was happening with that, you're able to gather intelligence on the weather. If you have your radio program for emergency communications, you're able to hear the steps that are being taken to bring help into your community. If it is just a localized disaster or an total SHTF scenario. And guys, that's another thing I want to bring up real quick is anytime I'm talking about SHTF, I don't mean a total grid down scenario or anything like that. SHTF to many people can mean different things. Like a local disaster in my area could be a SHTF event for me. Maybe my house got washed away and I don't have anything left. So that's anytime I bring up SHTF, that's kind of what I'm getting at. I'm not really meaning a total grid down collapse or anything like that. So getting back on the point of intelligence is these little radios here, like this one, gives me the capability of listening to emergency communications in my area, fire, EMS, and such like that, along with giving me the capability of listening to normal FM radio, so what you hear in the car, along with the NOAA weather band within this radio. So that gives me three ways of gathering information and intelligence that I have portable that I can charge off a power bank or anything like that, a solar panel. So this will last as long as I have a solar panel or a power bank. And another thing is coordination. So in 2016, we had a real bad flood once again in my area. Floods generally happen, but the one that happened in 2016 was quite severe. And I lived on one side of the town, my family lived on the other side of the town, and the river cuts the town in half. And there's two bridges to get to either side of the town, but they're right on the river. So once the river floods, there's no way to get into the other side. And we didn't have radios at the time, which I really wish we did, because if we had radios, we could communicate to each other, like, hey, I'm going on this backside of the mountain if you want to loop around on that side, and we can meet in the middle that way. Instead of us waiting out the storm and hoping for the best that nothing happened to each other. So coordination between radios and family members is really going to help out a lot, guys. I cannot express this in much as radios are your key to survival if it's a total grid down scenario or just a localized event. We've seen in South Carolina, North Carolina, with all the devastation that happened down there, GMRS radios really picked up and really helped out the effort down there with the search and rescue crews. And the other thing is safety. Like I mentioned before, it kind of goes hand in hand with coordination and intelligence gathering information, because if you have those two things, if you have coordination and if you have the intelligence that you're gathering, more than likely you're going to be able to create a safety plan and have a safety net in place for scenarios like that that's happening. And another talking point I have is a family or group without comms is blind. We're already 6 minutes in here, and I've gave you two scenarios where I didn't have radios at the time because I wasn't really that much into preparedness like I should have been, and radios really could have helped me and my family out in that scenario. So that really just goes to show, guys, radios are more than the weight of gold when something happens. And if you guys want to leave down in the chat, what's your family's comms plan if the cell towers go down, if you guys even have one, or if you plan on making one. I'm out in the woods, so if you hear me looking around, I hear something behind me. All right, moving on to segment 2, ham versus GMRS, and what's the difference? So I wrote down a little analogy here because Thanksgiving is coming up. Some of you guys might get it, and some of you guys might not get it. Ham is just like the ham for Thanksgiving. No matter where you are in the house, you know there's a ham, which that can mean many things. Usually people tell you they're a ham radio operator. And then GMRS is like the deviled eggs. Everyone huddles around them before they're gone, just like Thanksgiving. So GMRS is a real tight community, which is usually just radio to radio. You're not having a long distance conversation, but ham radios, wherever you are in the house, you can either smell the ham. That's kind of where that analogy came from. So getting away from that, I have a kind of a little chart I wrote down of the difference between ham and GMRS for you guys. If you're just now starting out your communications plan, or if you're looking into expanding your communications plan. So we'll go ahead and start off with ham radio. And we'll start off with the license for both ham and GMRS. So ham radios generally, they do require you to have a license. And there's multiple levels of ham radios. There's technician, operator, I believe, and there's one more. Don't quote me on that, but I do know the base level. The base level is technician, and there's a lot of online classes that help you prepare for the test to take. So that's one of the things you have to get into ham radio. And Mount Survival says loyalty and courage for Utah. Nice to meet you. I'm out here in West Virginia, so it's always nice to see you guys out all over the country. GMRS is required. You have to have a license for GMRS. There is no test, which is really nice if you have little kids or if you have a wife or something looking to get into building your communications plan. If they're not quite ready to take the test or they get real nervous, this is why I prefer GMRS. There's no test, and it's $35 for 10 years. That license lasts 10 years, and it covers you and your immediate family. And the range, we'll go ahead and start with the range on ham versus GMRS. So ham, it really all depends on your setup, how many watts you have, your tower, and everything like that. So ham radios just really depend on your aspect and your capability. GMRS radios are generally 1 to 5 miles. That's what I get. I'm in a really heavily wooded area, a lot of mountains. And with the Redovis, this is a 5-watt radio. I can, generally speaking, get around 3 to 4 miles, and if it's real heavily wooded, I can get 2 to 3. However, that is quite significant. I don't know if you guys, it might not seem like a lot if you're driving in a car. Go walk 2 to 3 miles, go walk 3 to 4 miles. You'll really see that, hey, a 3 to 4 mile radio is pretty good. And we'll go with the frequencies now. Ham is usually on HF, VHF, and UHF, and GMRS is just going to be UHF only. And there's a little side segment I want to throw in here real quick is those HF bands. If you have I cannot remember who makes one, but if you have an HF receiver, you don't have to talk on it, but you can listen on a receiver. Is if you have a HF receiver, you can listen to the nuclear war uh, EAMs, which I find really interesting. You can just tune it in. If you find the frequency, you can listen to them. And we'll go ahead and go over the cost, kind of getting started with HAM and GMRS, kind of what I recommend the cost price of getting anything. And these radios, this one was $40. It can do GMRS. They have a model that does HAM, but for $40, you get a waterproof radio. It's Type C charging. It's already programmed. I absolutely love that radio. So for HAM, anywhere from $400 to $500. That's talking about a whole communications plan with portable radios, mobile radios in your car, and possibly a base station. And I give that price the same with GMRS for $40, $500. Really all depends on how many family members you have and how elaborate you want to make your communications plan. Ham is more flexible and it can reach across states, which is fantastic if you have a regional event or a regional collapse like the train derailment that happened in Ohio. If the winds were blown across in your area, but the accident was happening 4 counties over, ham radio is going to be an excellent option in those scenarios right there. And gathering intelligence, regional is going to be perfect for that if it's localized event or if it's a natural disaster or a total grid down scenario. You're going to be able to gather a lot more information and intelligence with ham radio than you are GMRS. And GMRS is perfect for entry level and local communications, which this is really shines in localized disasters, like I was talking about before with floods and everything like that. GMRS is really a tight knit thing for you and your family if you're trying to get from bug out location to bug out location. I really believe GMRS is honestly the best way to do that would be GMRS. There is kind of a subcategory which is DMR radios, and those are semi-secure communications. I don't know too much on that, so I don't really want to talk too much on that. But however, do know that with DMR radios, you do have some sort of security within your comms. And we'll go ahead and move over to segment 3, which is radios that I recommend personally, which is going to be the Retevis HA1G. This is the GMRS radio. It's already pre-programmed. You don't have to program the radio. It has normal FM mode, so just like your car radio, you can listen to all those frequencies and listen to the radio that way. It has NOAA already pre-programmed in here. It is waterproof. This thing is waterproof up to 1 meter for 30 minutes. It's perfect for a bug out bag, or if you're in a Minuteman preparedness or anything like this, this is the radio that I highly recommend. This is the only one that I'm telling people to get. There are a couple others, such as the TID radio. This is the TDH3. This is a 5-watt radio. It does both ham and GMRS within this radio. It is not waterproof, but it is Type C charging. It is real small and compact. So if you have a little kid or something, you can give them this radio. Also have the Bofang 5RM. The reason why I like, the reason why I like this radio, this one does ham, GMRS, I believe, and it does do airbands. So you're able to listen to the airband frequency on here. Along with, there's another feature on here. If you go into menus and you press the button, it scans all the frequencies. And we'll say that I'm talking on this radio and I don't have it programmed on this one. It'll pick up that transmission and program it into this radio. So that's why I really like the Bofang 5RM. And some key tips that I recommend carrying is going to be a power bank so you can charge your radios here. This really helps out to longevify, give you longevity in your communications plan if you're trekking 10, 20 miles so your radios don't die. Spare battery banks. So if this does go down or you don't have enough time to charge your radio like that, you can just swap out the battery on your radio. And program local emergency frequencies within your radio and some of the surrounding counties or surrounding areas as well. And leave a comment down below which 3 of these radios would you start and get your preparedness set up with. And just checking a few things here. Alrighty. And segment 4, we'll go with real use cases. So we'll go with scenario 1. Local disasters or blackouts. GMRS radio really shines here with the range of 1 to 5 miles. So with a local disaster, you know, you and your family are at your house, maybe your wife's at the grocery store, you always carry a radio in your car, and something happens. And for whatever reason, the cell towers go down. You have a way to communicate with your wife and gather information that way. So scenario 2 is going to be a regional disaster, such as a chemical leak or wildfire. And this is where ham radio is really going to shine. Ham's going to be your lifeline for information. Like I said in previous, the one in Ohio that happened, if you're downwind of that and you need to gather as much information as you can, ham radio is really going to help you out with that a lot. And being able to listen to emergency services regional in a regional area. So let's say that it just happened, nobody knows what's happening with it. You're able to tune in and listen to what's going on over there because it is so close to you. And with GMRS, you're not really going to be able to have that feature. You're going to be able to exchange information with others regionally. So if I'm in the Appalachian region and something were to happen in Utah and everything was coming east, I could talk to somebody in Utah with it. I want to give you all a little bit of tips is keep your radios programmed and labeled. So like all these radios, they don't really say what they are on them. I have multiple radios. I have ham radios and GMRS radios. And if you look at these ones, you can't tell the difference until you pick them up. So keeping them labeled is really going to be able to help you out a lot. And practice comm drills monthly. That'll really help you and your family be able to understand the radio, work the radio, kind of get the ins and outs of everything. And practice ways to talk securely on the radio itself. Be it real, maybe you guys have code names for certain roads or certain locations. Practice that monthly so you guys never forget it. And store them in a Faraday bag. Faraday bags, and we've been seeing a lot of solar activity happening within the sun recently, and you do not want these to be fried of a solar flare. So always keep these in a Faraday bag. I keep 2 radios in a Faraday bag in my bug out bag. And have you guys tested your comms plan this year? Go ahead and leave that down in the comments below if you have. Generally, how long does your comms plan, your training exercise happen? Does it go all day or do you guys practice for only 5-10 minutes? And segment 5, how to get started, how to get your communications plan actually started. So number 1, you could get, this is what I recommend, get your GMRS license, just the base layer so you have radios and you don't really need the technical level. You don't have to take tests, you don't have to study. Get your GMRS license. There's no test. It's $35 a year, and the license lasts 10 years, and it covers your whole family. Buy handheld radios slowly. Just pick up 1 or 2 here. That way you can fill a collection for one for each family, and buy spare radios in case one of them does go down. Apply for your ham radio technician's license. There's tons of free study guides online, which this coming week, Thanksgiving weekend, I'm going to be taking my ham technician license, and it's absolutely, the class is free. However, you'd have to pay for the test. and it's online, so that makes it a lot easier. Build your ham radio capabilities. So start off with ham, uh, handheld like this, slowly work your way up, maybe a mobile radio, and then eventually a base radio for your bug out location or your actual homestead. And like I said, again, practice monthly. That is really important, guys, is practice monthly with your communications emergency plan, your communications outline. Talk to your family members about how to use the radio, how to talk on the radio, and everything like that. It will make things go by so smoothly when something's actually happening. And we'll go ahead and close this stream out now. It's been 20 some minutes. I was hoping it'd be a little bit longer, but I think we've covered a lot here. So remember, when things go dark, communications is life. HAM and GMRS radios aren't just gear, it's a lifeline for communication preparedness. If you guys would like to see a long form video about communications plan, let me know down below in the comments, such as like my normal videos. I can go over a whole communications plan and how to set one up in there. Just leave me a comment down below. And if you're new here, subscribe to Outdoor Ordnance for more survival content. We're building a community here that stays ready, and we'd like to have you along with us. So with that, I'm going to end the live stream and hope to see you guys again. We're doing a live stream every Wednesday at 8:30 and every Saturday at 9:30.